Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew, and I wanted to talk about why that 80s show failed. Now, before we get into that, remember to like, subscribe, comment down below. I do stream on Twitch at 7 p.m. on Mondays. Now, that 70s show was such a huge show. It was fantastic. It drew in huge ratings. And they thought the brilliant idea was take two of the original creators of that 70s show and another creator and make a spin-off show called that 80s show in 2002. Why? Why did you decide to make this show? Why at this point? Now, it follows a group of young adults, one of them being, or some of them actually being Eric's cousin. One of them being Corey, who the actor was Glenn Houghton, who, if you remember, was in AP Bio. He was a sarcastic, really loved philosophy. Kind of the same characters basically being played at this point. We had Tuesday, the punk rocker. We had Sophia, who is the money-hungry flirt. Katie, who is Corey's ditzy sister. Roger, the overconfident moron. We got Mr. Howard, the pervert businessman. And we had Margaret of Permanent Records. Now, this takes a really nice, easy, slow approach to the budding relationship of Tuesday and Corey. It mostly revolves around them working at Permanent Records, insulting each other, which, by the way, comparatively to any show, that 80s show insults are so huge. They're so amazing. It causes a lot of good silence, a good mic drop moments.
Come on. You know you want one? All right. You find out who sent them? Yeah, Corey did. For you. Oh, who's a pretty girl?
Those are really good insults compared to a lot of shows. Any other show, I think the 80s show blows it out of the water with the insults. Not only that, the 80s show does bring in a lot of character development within season one and does the best it can do with season one. Wraps up really nicely, has a really good aesthetic of the 80s, makes some references here and there, brings in old bands from the 80s, brings in, some of the celebrities from the 80s. It does a good job blending the actual 80s content to the story. Now, we do have a lot of good moments. It does wrap up really nicely in season one where Katie figures out what she wants to do. Roger is in this new relationship that he's trying to navigate. Tuesday and Corey are actually trying to work their relationship out as is.
Look, I love you too much to screw this up.
What did you just say?
We have Sophia, who's in a fast-moving company and trying to get to the top. Mr. Howard trying to kind of get past some life crisis and business-wise. We do have a lot of good wrapped-up moments, and it's because it ends at season one. So what was the problem to the point where they had to end it in season one? Well, there's a couple of reasons. So we'll go with the smallest reason first being, well, not even the smallest reason, actually, the time slot that it was given. It was given the time slot, I would say, after prime time, which prime time was when everyone sat down and watched. You had the biggest bangers like, that 70s show and whatnot. That was the time you got to sit down and watch. And after that was the cutoff where the viewership was kind of falling down. And that 80s show was on that cuff of the viewership falling down. People were either busy or just very tired, didn't want to watch it at that point. And you either had to record it or you had to somehow find a rerun of that show. There was no streaming service where you could catch up to it. So if you missed it, you missed it. You had to find a rerun or something to get it. The second biggest thing I would say is the attention that it would get. Not just fans, but also writers, creative staff. Of course, you had the staff dedicated to that 80s show, but you had two of the writers, or not two of the writers, two of the creators attending to that 70s show and that 80s show. To juggle such a high volume show as that 70s show at the height of its time, and then that 80s show, that's not going to happen. So I feel like that 80s show would fall by the wayside a little bit and not get that attention it deserves. Another big thing is that while it was not a good idea to make a spinoff, especially during that time period of, the height of that 70s show, and then we're going to make a spinoff. A lot of people assumed, especially because the writing was like this at that point, was it was going to be the exact same show. It was going to be pretty much the exact same archetypes, the exact same weed circle, the exact same, maybe 80s references instead of 70s references, but it was going to be the same exact characters and the same exact plot and the same exact arcs coming through. So not a lot of people watched it because they thought it would be so similar, and they couldn't be further from the truth. The characters are different. The way they developed was different. The way they talked and the way they insulted each other, the way they referenced stuff, the way that they just lived was different. It was so different that it was its own show. And it sucks it didn't get that kind of treatment. And that's why they ended season 1 so quickly, and the reason why they wrapped everything up in season 1. And that sucks because not every show is going to be amazing on season 1. There's never really been a show that aced season 1 hardcore. They spent a lot of season 1 developing their characters, developing the relationships that they might have in the future. And to be honest, that 80s show was a lot better than a lot of the first seasons of that 70s show. And it sucks that we skipped over this 80s show to go into the 90s show again. It really is disappointing. It really is something that I hope is getting brought to the attention of the creators of that 90s show to put in references to that 80s show, because it did its work. It had fantastic jokes, fantastic characters, fantastic references. It did its job really well. It's just the timing of it was wrong. The time slot was wrong. The attention it would get because the writers and the creators were on the other show was wrong. The people's thought process, because it was called the 80s show, would be too similar, is wrong. And I really hope that we can rebounce from it and have at least maybe something of an online or streaming service, maybe pick it up and try to make that 80s show, or give more references to that 90s show. Tell me what you guys think down below. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Like I said before, I hope your day is as awesome as you are, and I will see you in the next video.